variety show, I think it really is something that absolutely should be done. No question about it.
Like old school variety show, like Carol Burnett show.
Yeah, I think one of the problems there, just from Carol Burnett's style, is it's hard to find
Triple threats.
today Carol Burnett, who has all the skill set that Carol Burnett had. It can be done, whether it's economically feasible to be done today. I would think it would be.
You're
You
right.
see,
Yeah. Probably the only real triple threat that's out there anymore is like Justin Timberlake.
yeah, if he would do that, maybe even do it as like a six-part series or something, it would be mega.
Well, the other thing too about Timberlake is that he transcends generations.
Right. He would be a great person for that show, and it could save ABC.
It could.
That would be a thing that everybody would tune into to see the show.
Well, and the other thing too is because Timberlake's Rolodex is so thick, dude, he could get anybody to guest star.
Sure.
You
And the
know,
show would be a global show as well.
it would be a global show. I mean, he could get Gaga, no problem.
Yep.
He could probably get De Niro. He could
Oh,
probably get Carol Burnett.
and they'd want to work with him.
Everybody wants to.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to work with him.
He could do his old bring it on down.
Yeah.
I mean, he can make fun of himself. That's one of the great things about him. Even though he's a big star, I think it could happen. Because if you look at what American Idol costs, for example, and you
Yeah.
look at what those people make, they would easily overwhelm American Idol.
Easily.
I love the idea of the co-host
Yeah.
because that rolls in a new vibe to it every time.
The triple threats that are out there are all in Timberlake's Rolodex.
Yeah, and they'd love to work with him.
They'd love to work with him.
Yeah, and it could be even like Dancing with a Star, where you bring in some dancers. I think it would be the biggest show on TV overnight. Nobody would want to line up against that show.
Nobody. It would put other shows out of business.
Yeah, and you can even tie in some sort of charity thing to it as
Yeah, oh
well.
yeah, because he's big on charity.
Well, and you can think what the sponsors, do they want to be involved with a show like that? Are you kidding me?
No,
This is
people would be lining up.
yeah.
And the other thing is that all the big guest stars you get probably wouldn't take a fee. They'd probably just do it as a favor.
Yeah. Well, and it's good exposure for them too because it's the
It's the
thing.
biggest show on television.
Yeah, yeah. If you're on Justin's show, that's it. That's as high as you can
Yeah,
go.
and in fact, he would also break out new talent. Maybe there's a section. Maybe you throw in little Ed Sullivan flavor, and there's a section where he introduces like new talent, like new comedians, new singers, new dancing acts. It could make you a star overnight.
Yeah. Well, and it's so much richer because you only do it once a week as opposed to having to do it
Right.
every night.
And then you know what you do? You break out another show where you have judges and panels of people auditioning to get onto Timberlake's show.
Hmm.
And you create a whole other show.
Spin off.
So you just literally build a whole empire out of this.
You could literally even take it and add shorts. So here's a great short piece that somebody did that we think you should watch.
Yeah. People will know because it's Timberlake. There's going to be a level of quality to it.
Yeah.
There's going to be it's not going to suck.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's the thing about having something that's actually worth watching.
What, in your estimation, how much revenue do you think a Timberlake variety show will
Uh,
generate?
I think you could easily get in just ads $25 million an episode. If you had Justin Bieber as a co-host one week.
Oh yeah, if you had Bieber as a and you would have Bieber as a co-host because you know what? To Bieber's credit, Bieber can play drums like no tomorrow. I
Yeah,
mean, Bieber's a talented guy. I mean, he wouldn't be Bieber if he
yeah,
didn't have some sick game,
yeah,
and he does.
yeah. So
And
you match him up with the guys who got all the game.
yeah, that would be the biggest show in the world,
Yeah,
and probably end up being the longest running show in the world.
yeah. I think you're right. It would be that show would run for as long as Justin wanted to do it.
Yeah,
But what I'm saying is, I bet you'd find some other people that were like the younger version of Justin as they're coming up.
Then you could have another show where they train somebody to take Timberlake's place.
They coach them. Yeah, multiple ones that are trying to compete to get that.
Oh, there
That's
you go. You have a show of people competing to replace Timberlake.
yeah. You could have sports stars come on and recap like big stuff that happened in sports that week.
Yeah, because I mean, with a variety show, why not have like a little sports section? Because Timberlake knows all the athletes too.
Yeah. And then if you could find someone who actually had a reasonable point of view, you could even have the weekly commentary on. There's another angle is you could have like a kid star on the show.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably just have a whole like prime time slot of just Timberlake from 8 to 11.
It would like eclipse Netflix overnight.
It would just mow it over.
Yeah.
It would be a bulldozer.
And if you really look at it, I think Netflix is in a very awkward position because they've got a couple of shows, none of which would have the popularity of that show.
No.
Okay, so
And shows, because with the Timberlake brand, you're gonna get a whole bunch of spin-offs.
well, that's another thing. You could have like the mystery guest.
Yeah.
You even do kind of like a mystery guest part on it, like again, What's My Line, where you try to guess who is the mystery guest.
Who's it gonna be? He would bring in big stars from all parts of the world, and important celebrities from all over the world would come on the show. You tell me a Formula One driver that wouldn't want to be on his show if they got that call.
Well, they would be, and not only that, it wouldn't matter whether they wanted to. Their sponsor and their team would say, "You're going on the show." Yeah, excellence is always a uniting thing that people will get behind excellence.
Yeah.
And it's just in a short supply. But yeah, this show would essentially be as excellent as they've ever been.
Yeah, in spades.
It would be another good thing on the show for people trying to get on, to have people like Tim Conway be judges.
Yeah. You bring the greats, you bring the classic greats back, and revitalize their careers. There'd be a bidding war for this thing. Because here's the thing, who else could pull this off except Timberlake? No one.
It would be. I can't think of anyone.
Think of just the YouTube revenue generated from a Timberlake channel showing the bits from the show. I mean, it's crazy, the revenue.
You could do a sort of a fun comedy piece with Timberlake not knowing that Hugh Jackman's really the Wolverine.
Yeah.
And then he turns around, he's got, the things coming out of his hands and everything. And, what's going on with these curtains? They're all like messed up here and everything.
That would be hilarious. And that's the other thing. You'd have established stars presenting their hits, because you're never going to have a bigger worldwide audience. I mean, when you think of like exponentially how much this can grow, you know what I mean? The critical mass of a show like this.
Yeah.
Anytime anybody comes out with something new, where are you going to premiere it? Where are you going to get the most eyeballs?
Yeah, no question.
You know what I mean?
And the other thing is it's constantly refreshed, where the problem with American Idol is, like, if you don't really like a lot of the stars, you still got to watch them all the time.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be on until they're eliminated.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just has so many more levels. It's almost like a great pastry where there's layer after layer after layer after layer. You could even then format the show. You could format the show so that X block is Russian people.
Yeah.
X block are Germans. X block are, like if you can have Big Brother or in 30 countries, you can certainly have this in more than 30 countries. What happens is, like you say, the singing, dancing, comedy, the bulk of the show translates in any language.
Right.
Okay? But there's a certain segment which highlights entertainers from their formatted country. Yeah. You can even make the show an hour and a half and have a half hour of it be their local thing.
I see. So like you repurpose it. You have like the main show, and then you repurpose sections of it for different audiences all over the world.
Yeah. It would be the biggest show on TV like that. It would be literally, you get WME or CAA to say, look, I don't know who he's represented by, but they say, okay, here's the show. You've got 2 days to come up with a number.
Yeah.
Because this is going to be the biggest show on TV. Justin Timberlake would be, well, he'd become, I mean, he's already a big star, but he would literally be the biggest star on the planet.
Yeah. On the
Nobody,
planet.
nobody else would be close.
Yeah. I mean, it would be him, and then the drop would be huge.
If you're on the Justin Timberlake show, you're relevant. If
Right.
you're not, people are like, what's wrong? What's
Right.
wrong with you?
Timberlake's show is going to be resurrection of classic Saturday Night Live, Ed Sullivan, classic Carol Burnett.
Yeah, that's it. That's the show. What is it? It's those three shows put together. How can you go wrong with that?
No, well, you can't. Whenever the show is on, all the family can get together and watch it together and then talk about it, and it gives something to bond for people to have in common. Because if you meet somebody on the street or anybody, you can say, hey, did you see Timberlake's show last week? Oh, yeah. And it immediately starts a conversation.
Yeah.
Because everybody's watching it.
Apple might just say, or here's our checkbook.
Right.
Make it the biggest thing that was ever on TV, period.
Right. Here's our checkbook. Here's a percentage of our company.
Yeah. Google, same thing.
Yeah.
Now think about this. You say, we are now funding the new JT network.
Yeah.
Okay, we need $300 million. That would have $1 billion valuation like that. Why? Because everybody would have to advertise on that network.
They'd have to.
Here's what the JT network could do: is simply have the news and commentary show that doesn't exist. That takes a middle view and listens to both sides, and presents both sides of the story.
You have the news section after the variety show. You think people are going to freaking reach for their remote?
No, it would be, it's so simple to do. You don't make sports local in 5 minutes. You make it Sports Center every night.
Most of these sports people, they're giving their, their thing. But on the JT network, they're going to be loose. They're going to be fresh.
Well, Sunday Night Football, instead of being on NBC, is on the JT network.
It's on the JT network because if JT has got shows on at the same time as NFL games, who's going to watch the NFL games? I mean, you're going to stay to watch the analysis later on the JT sports section. But, I mean, what would you rather watch, a football game or who knows is going to be on our JT show?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you certainly break the audience up, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
The ratings for Sunday Night Football will be cut in half immediately. The only reason that they're getting as high ratings as they are is there's nothing on.
Exactly. Okay? There's nothing on. So then they bring that on, and you know what could eventually happen? One network. Like JT Network 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and everyone else is done. Do you think after all his success with his show and his network, Timberlake will go into politics? Do you think there could be President Timberlake?
Sure. No question. If he wanted to become president, all he would have to do is put some smart people around him who could say, okay, Justin, what should we do in Palestine? What should we do?
Right.
Well, let's start in the U.S. here. Let's launch the JT network here in the U.S. And then we will conquer the world, but it would be better for... See, it would be better for him if... Can you imagine him having to deal with all the problems of the whole world? But anyway, but getting back to the JT network, I think that could... we don't know what his motivations are. So we've got to figure that out. Yeah, what do we put... who represents him? I'm going to look on IMDb.
If all this stuff does go down and we got this thing posted and Timberlake knows... he would cut us in on it. Yeah, he would. Timberlake would. He would. He's Timberlake. Timberlake is fair.
His agent would say, we've had this idea for a while.
But then Timberlake would just put his foot down and say, I don't care what you say.
I don't know.
I think he would.
JT could go into Google and get the money in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
He could go into Apple and get the money in 5 seconds. We just have to lay the map out for them of what's the progression.
Well, maybe we say this. We leave the conversation like this. Timberlake, if you're watching this, we got a plan. We have a plan that's not all in this video.
But I would say rather than put it on YouTube, you get it to Bieber. I mean, get it to Justin Timberlake and say, JT, this is what you have to do. And we can show you the roadmap of where this goes. And you're right. The NFL is going to say, maybe we have the playoffs on the JT network. I mean, it would literally be the big media powerhouse. This is actually the network's worst nightmare.
Right.
It's Duck Dynasty. This is the biggest show on TV, period.
Yeah.